Shalom, family. Glory be to God and blessed be the Lamb forever and ever. I'm sorry about the timing of this. It's a little later than usual, so allow me to indulge you shortly. I will try to keep it as short as I can. Preliminary matter. Negroes, how does it feel? How does it feel to be Israel? How does it feel to be the people of the book? Changes everything, doesn't it? You know, you have come a long way. There's still resistance, but that's okay. What's important is that you know that you are Israel, God's chosen people in the face of the world. In the face of a world that retains a memory of all that they have done to you, Israel, the world over. For the Gentiles of different tongues, cultures, backgrounds, those who are the people of the cloth, people of the faith, the believer. How does it feel to be vindicated after being called foolish, radical, crazy, all this time as your church numbers have dwindled year by year, as you've lost the ground in terms of morality in the value system of the United States? You have been vindicated. How does that feel? You do know that people don't look at neither of you two groups the way they did before we arrived. It changes everything. It changes everything. What I would like to say is congratulations. Congratulations. You know what you've outlived? How many different generations and methods and means have tried to kill you all over and over and over, exploited you, beat you, raped you, hung you, shot you down like dogs, took your property. The list is fucking long, man. It's real long. Turning you into something that you ain't. They done everything except codify. Well, they done everything except keep you in chains up until this day. In fact, there are still people in slavery in the world today, as in Sudan. We're gonna deal with they enslaving ass later. But we're gonna get to them. We're very aware that they're there, running their ass around, owning people. Then they get caught. Do they read any? I mean, what holy book do you read? This is 2020 fucking four, or is it? And you decide that you have the right to own another human being. That is so silly, but that's cute. But we're gonna kill you for it now. With that being said, moving right along. Act like you didn't hear that. Act like you didn't hear that. And this is whether the slave want or need or deserve our help or not. We no longer care what the victim says. There's a such thing as Munchausen syndrome. I think that's the right syndrome, where you have been victimized for so long, held captive for so long, that you start to understand your captors. You start to agree with your captors. and befriend your captives. It is a syndrome, and you got it. And you got it bad, but we're going to fix that for you. We are going to fix that for you. You have some kind of weirded out syndrome, man. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. So what's really happening though? A nation of fools is what is happening. America is a nation of fools. I had an epiphany. I was just thinking, you cannot do as much ill on the world stage that harms not just the world, but you in the long run, and we at the end of the long run, and you keep doing it without being foolish. So my next question became, so my next question became, what is the pathology of this foolishness that plagues America? What, what, what is the pathology of it? And to find that, I had to go back in history to its very founding, its core, its beginning, its genesis. So let's go there. America at its founding is built upon death and genocide and murder and all kinds of other sides. Okay? It has been founded and maintained through the barrel of a gun from its inception. From its inception, founded and maintained through the barrel of a gun. The world has never truly loved it or wanted it. It is a beacon for those who want wealth and money. Side note, Negroes, and that other group too. Y'all better be careful out here. We're here now, and they know that you guys have the advantage. They don't have a guard showing up. Their guard is not gonna show up. Only us. And that makes them angry at you. And jealous and envious to the point that they will hurt you. Anyway, back to foolish America. How did we get here? Let's go back to its founding, to the 1500s, late 1400s, when when the when the immigrants from Europe started coming to the United States, America, rather, coming to the United States of America back in 1500s and the late 1400s. You do know that in Britain they had a underclass, a severe underclass, peasants, a peasant class that was always hungry, always homeless, never had enough to eat, exploited, beat. These are in the days of its early founding. In the middle of Europe's evolution as a country, it was impoverished. Not only that, it had already been through a plague or two. A plague meaning a disease came upon that ass and tried to wipe them all out, every last one of them. And because they didn't have the education of the understanding of what was happening to them, they would leave the dead right outside in the street and in front of their homes, and have the government come and pick up the dead as they were dropping like flies, which they got behind because they didn't have vehicles like they have today. They had horse and wagon, and they were dying like flies from the Black Plague. So they rotted and they stunk up the joint and they spread the disease further and further. It wiped out 80% of Europe. 80%. It can happen again. It can happen again. 80%. I think around that same time they were just coming out of the dark ages. I could be wrong about that. And they were truly dark and it was dark and within their lives. But back to the peasant class here. The peasant class gets the call. Y'all want to go to the new land? New land. They made it sound like they found some new land. No, they found somebody else's land with the people on it. And then they tricked the people into welcoming them. And that was their biggest mistake. In hindsight, the natives of the land should have slaughtered the pilgrims and slaughtered the new ones and put them right back on the boat and pushed it out to sea. Let the ocean have them. But that's not what happened. But hindsight is 2020 now, isn't it? Imagine such a thing. Imagine such a thing. Anyway, any old hoots. They then started to form colonies. This is right around 1526. What you thought, I got lost or something? This is right around 1526 or so. They started to form the colonies and the Pilgrims and Plymouth Rock and blah, 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 blah. They want to act like slavery didn't begin at that very moment. They want to act like slavery began after that, but we know for a fact that they were already dabbling in the ownership of other men as far back as the early 1500s. So were the Pilgrims. Not all of them, and they call themselves having some type of puritanical era, I think, a puritanical era that they tried to bring from Europe. Now, this is going to get a little bit aspersive, but don't be offended. I'm just coming straight at the issue, okay? Straight at the issue as I see it, okay? Now, as the peasant class was coming over here and enjoying their newfound free land, I'm not just talking about small parcels here. We are just talking about 50 acres and up. All you had to do is come over here. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Anyway, let's stay right there in Europe and the peasant class and the big ships right before they decided we're going to have to kill everybody who lives here, ain't we? Because we got a lot of folk and they like to have babies and they still coming from Europe. I mean, they coming by the damn boatload with 1,000 per ship. Imagine such a thing, if you will. Take some, anyway. I'm not going to make it comical because we are trying to gain some understanding here. So along with the peasant class, guess what Europe did? Most of Europe, they emptied out their prisons. You got it, folks. Similarities, familiarities, maybe. They emptied out their psych wards, too. And they put them all on the ships with the rest of them looking for land and opportunity. Now, let's move forward just a little bit. Is anyone shocked that out of a bunch of convicts, we're going to keep it at the convict level, felons, and psych ward patients would not get together and decide that it is okay to slaughter the inhabitants of the land? In fact, you can see it coming. They were in prison in Europe for a reason. Some of them murderers and thieves. And that's during the dark ages. You got to work hard. Oh, man. And these weren't the smart ones. Okay? Now, nobody get offended. They had children. The people from the prison and the psych wards and the prisoners, man, they had kids, damn it, raised by them in the midst of a bloodbath, trying to make them understand how causing a bloodbath is okay, as they raise their damn children to understand that the bloodbath is somehow righteous. And they started writing crazy shit later on, like Manifest Destiny. And we're going to talk about that later, Manifest Destiny. Do you still feel like your destiny has been manifested? Because your destiny is clearly leading to death and destruction. Is your destiny still feeling manifest? Or do you just want to act like that document don't exist? We're going to act like it wasn't written and taught and published for the sake of this argument. But we both know, because you write crazy shit. Why? Because you're crazy at the core. But moving right along. Moving right the hell along. In comes the first influx of immigrants. Asian. The Asian, wait a minute, let's back up. Let's get to slavery first. After they went to slaughtering some of the natives, wait, we got to go back up. These fools tried to enslave their own biracial children. You understand what I'm saying to you? They tried to enslave the Asiatic Indian, which is what you think of when you see Indian in your mind. That is the Asiatic Indian, not the... See, I don't want to start no problems here. I don't want to start no problem because it depends on how far back you're going to go in history, and some shit that just ain't worth the animus it would cause, or the animosity, or the anger, or the, it's just not worth all that. So we ain't going to do it. Ain't no value in it. I'm just saying, depending on how far you want to go back, the histories are not like they would seem. However, back to slavery. After they'd murdered as many as they could and decided, man, there's a lot of land and a lot of work out here. Whew, and we tired of fighting. Damn, what we gonna do now? Well, we gonna enslave the rest of them, and we gonna go over there. I hear through the Portuguese that there's a free people over there, meaning that we can get their ass for damn near free, or for trinkets. It's pretty much run up and catch them. Now, they didn't go into the interior of Africa. They mostly hung around the coast and snatched black asses up with nets, chase downs, or after wars where the other chiefs would take prisoners and they would sell the prisoners. And that's just a half of it. At some point, they also understood that the people that lived amongst them who were acting all strange was not of them. They understood this very well. They understood the history of them that arrived there after the Romans chased them out of Israel, them other black people that landed in Africa to hide from the Romans. Turned out it was a bad place to hide because them niggas sold them right the fuck out the first chance they got. Okay? They didn't like them from the start. They were strange, different customs, smarter than they were, and you know how this stuff go, man. So they turned their ass over to what we would call today white supremacy. Are we keeping up with the class now, are we? Good. So the first wave would be the Asians. The Asians, they worked the shit out of them in coal mines and inside and down railroad tracks. I mean, they may as well had been slaves. And then they purposely got them hooked on opium. Purposely. This would be one of your first chemical and biological fucking attacks. One of you first. But if you go back further, they were having wars in Europe and they would do stupid shit. Stupid shit. Like think it's a good idea to send your entire army in the wintertime on a 500-mile march in the forest of Europe. Ever been to Europe? It gets freaking cold. It is the world's refrigerator over there. It's the world's freezer. We had a taste of it here. But like over there, it's like that all the time. It's cold, cold. I've been there. It's the world's refrigerator. Okay? So they would decide that they're going to take their entire army and march them across open fields and forest land at the beginning of winter because they didn't understand Mother Nature as we do now and germs and bacteria. So what you think happened? They caught pneumonia and they started dying months before they got to the actual battlefield. Now, in one of these adventures, I won't call the names of the kings because it wouldn't be kind. They was just stupid. We're not going to call their names because some of their children are still fucking proudly alive today. I shit you not. But great-grandchildren and stuff. And they're proud of it. But so we ain't going to mess with them. But do you know that at one point, a king that was on the battlefield watching his soldiers die, they faced a big-ass wall that they couldn't go around or climb over. Okay? They marched all this way thinking that they are about to face soldiers. No, they faced a big-ass wall. And they freezing outside, and the enemy ranks is on the other side of that wall, all warm and toasty. They can see the smoke rising. They were angry as they watched each other die. So here's your first known biological and chemical attack. They were taking their dead brothers in arms, putting them in the catapults, and launching them, dead bodies, across the wall into the courtyard of the other king, spreading disease. Did they know what they were doing? Probably not. They were angry as hell, and that's all they had left. They were going to die out there in the frost, and they understood this. But moving right along, they worked the hell out of the Asians. They may as well have been slaves, plus they had them hooked on dope. You know how hard people work when they hooked on dope? I mean, on some shit like opium. Man, they gonna get their ass up and go to work every goddamn morning and get paid in the drug and a few trinkets and coins. And they knew this. This is the type of shit that they were guilty of. Later on, they would, finish off the rest of the Indians by introducing smallpox and polio through trading blankets infected, knowing they were infected, to the Indians. It wiped out tens of thousands of them. You'll see what happens when you play with fire. You see what happens, right? But we are talking about the foolishness of America and how we got here, right? Okay, so they had to codify the injustices that they were doing, making it into law and making it almost like a religion that was justifiable. So they started to tell each other lies, and then they told black people lies, and then they started changing how the Bible is written. Like now you have at least 10 different versions. They removed the J's, added the J's, they removed the H, they just did all kinds of stuff. They removed whole damn phrases. Willfully, to hide what what they were doing. Now, at some point, they knew whose children they had. They knew that some of these fools are African, but this one sound different. I mean, this one speak this language, but this group over here, man, it don't even sound African. What the shit is y'all speaking? But they didn't speak the language. But they had the records. They had the records. Everybody's name had the word Yah in it. All of their names. So they knew. They knew. There's 50 different variations of Yah to be used in a name. So they knew, and they had the records, and they decided they're going to do it anyway. So, long story short, now they have to justify what they have done. Okay? We're not just talking about the Negro either. No, we are talking about the foolishness of America. This country shoots itself in its foot seemingly purposely. Purposely. If you give it a chance to do what is right, it's going to do the opposite of right. Even now as we speak, America can no longer say that they're not bombing Palestine by proxy. We have proof of them having military personnel on the ground, them using American money and American armaments. So basically, Israel is being used as a proxy against the Palestinians. There's no way out of the argument. It may be a false argument, but it'll hold water and they'll stand up in court. Okay? The motivation may be different, but it'll stand up in court. Trust me. This country has become a detriment to everything around it. It eats you. It destroys you in every way it can. It doesn't like you from the beginning. From the beginning. But with every successive wave of migration, they each had to find a niche somewhere between black and white. It did not take them long to figure out the nuances of the relationships between the ex-slave and their master, especially the second and third generation Asians. They understood this well. They understood this well. By the 70s, the late 60s and the 70s, the next wave of immigrants would come, a small percentage from Latin America, but mostly Vietnamese. They were everywhere in the 70s. And you had the same, not quite the same, but the same dynamic, except they didn't come and live where we were. They literally created and carved out their own enclaves because there was a lot of open land left and property to be bought and traded. You see? It was only in the 80s when the Latin American, the Latinos, I gotta think, I so hate the name Hispanic because it's not right. It's just not right. You use the word Hispanic and you're leaving out a lot of people. A lot of people. However, we ain't gonna have a history lesson on the evolution of Latin America. So the big waves of Latinos started arriving in the 70s, late 60s and the 70s, but we're not talking about migration either. So we're not going to get bogged down in the migratory pattern. I'm only saying this for a reason of its impact on American culture. when there was a lot of space, a lot of land, and the most of his people were in the countryside, still on farmland, raising poultry, goats and chickens and ducks and geese and hogs and cattle, all as private citizens. They didn't need money because they would trade amongst each other. They even made their own soap, and they grew their own vegetables, and they would trade the vegetables for meat and so on and so forth. Okay? This is how it all went down. So in the 60s, America gets itself in one of its first foreign endeavors. It always starts out this way. America got into the Vietnam War, not because it was attacked, mind you. No. Vietnam was at war with the French. They were at war with the French. And I think the French got tired of fighting them little ass, short ass jungle people. They found out quick. Oh man, the French found out quick. These little people here, how tall is it? 4'9". How big is this knife? 3'6". God damn. Oh man. They found out quick that the Vietnamese military shortness and the smallness of their stature was more than made up for their understanding of the jungle and the use of what would later be termed guerrilla warfare. They are the inventors of guerrilla warfare. See, America had its F-14s and its jets and its missiles and its technology, but they understood something though, that in the middle of the night, when you drop that little Asian man in the middle of the jungle with a knife in his mouth, it's even Stevens. It's even Stevens, if you know what I mean. At any rate, America went there as an advisor. How do you go from an advisor to at war with the people who you are advising on how not to have war, on how to stop the war? The consequences of that would be lots and lots of deaths, tens of thousands, a few hundreds of thousands, actually, I'm sure, of American soldiers are dead, almost a million, if not slightly over 8 million Vietnamese soldiers dead, and you ain't even got to civilians. This here over some bullshit that they failed at because the country still split in half into North Vietnam and South Vietnam, just like it was going to do naturally anyway. You see what I'm saying? So why did all those people have to die for it to happen like it was going to be anyway? See? And like always, you will always have within every culture the want to be a part of another culture or have what other cultures have. And the cell phone only made that worse. If the rest of the world did not know what existed in this country, and in terms of technology and opportunity, as you would have it, as they would say, then they would not ever come. You see? But that's a whole other different argument. Speeding right along this country and its foolishness. So it decides in the 70s, when they were really talking about reparations, so to speak, and it was going down. Niggas was just, you had to be careful with the words out your mouth, as your city might go up in flames. Them niggas learned one thing from the white boy: burn it down. Burn it down. So now imagine this, being ostracized, outcasted by the rest of society. So you decide you're going to build homesteads, and your homesteads become cities, and those cities become vibrant. And they start to attract the fucking attention of the ex-slave master. They come burn it down with you in it. And can you imagine wiping out half of a city of 6,000 people in just a couple of days? Because they leave you unarmed and you man believe in what you believe in, but that's not your fault. But I'm just saying. And this happened over and over and over and over and over again. It's foolishness. So you set the slaves free, and then you to tell them, oh yeah, we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. We're going to I'll tell you what we're going to do. Since the master class is losing their property, you nigga, me, yeah, you qualify as property. Don't be offended, but we got you. We're going to pay your way out of, we're going to pay your way out of my brother's wicked need for you as a slave. Now he going to want some money, but we got the money. So we going to pay him. We're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. Y'all look at each other. Everybody agree? Okay, we got to go. We from Chicago. We got to go home to D.C. We got other stuff to do. This is what the Union soldiers did. So they leave these people here at the mercy of a population of people that just got their asses brought to them, lost their sons by the tens of thousands to the Union Army, and on the on the on the guise of freeing the slaves, and you leave the slave here with these fools. Really? More foolishness. You leave the unarmed slave here with the very people that you just got through murdering with cannonballs and muskets and Gatling guns on the battlefield on their behalf. Wow. Wow. And you told them to get over it and shake hands. Now, what you think really happened? Well, the used to be master class had said, hey, how far them Union soldiers away? Huh? Oh, they way past Dixie. We don't hear them no more. Are they in Oklahoma still? They at least pass it. Okay, listen up, niggas. That 40 acres shit, you ain't never getting that shit. I've been drinking all goddamn day, too. And I've been thinking out there as I hold this bottle of whiskey, and I mourn my uncle and my nephew and my cousins that's died at the hands of the Union soldiers shooting muskets and fucking cannonballs and stabbing people with bayonets, no doubt. Well, you're not gonna be getting that 40 acres. That's for damn sure. I would offer your ass a drink. But I'm just so angry and sad at the same time. I still want to kill all of you. If I can't have you as slaves, then I should just kill you. But they say that they'll come back if they... I hate you so much. So we're going to do everything we can to keep you just where your ass is, right next to slavery. You will never own anything. Even when you think you own it, you're going to find out in some kind of way that we own it, even if we have to burn it down. And that's what they proceeded to do. More foolishness, moving right ahead. Moving right ahead. Now we're in the 80s with Bill Clinton. Old Billy Bob over here. The man who, because he got caught in having picadillos with that woman that he never had sex with, wink, wink, that they caught underneath his desk, wink, wink, not having sex with her. He was busy not having sex with that woman under his desk. Now, I don't know if that woman was hiding down there or what, but I do know Mr. Clinton, when asked a direct question, he wagged his finger at the whole world and said, I did not have sex with that woman. And later on, he would argue for at least 6 to 7 hours about what the meaning of the word is. Freaking lawyers. Damn it, Jim. He tied their ass up for at least 6 hours with an argument of what is. What is the meaning of Bill? Stop it. Just more foolishness. More foolishness. Now, what did Bill do to regain his political career, his cohesion, his loyalty? He had to sacrifice somebody, and he did. You niggas. You Negroes. His wife started calling you savages and beasts, wild beasts too, not just any beast, savages that ought to be brought to bear or brought to carpet. Okay, while at the same time he passed one of the biggest anti-welfare bills that you would ever see, wiping tens of thousands of you Negroes off the welfare rolls. That's how Mr. Clinton redeemed himself. Y'all remember, or don't you? If you don't, your mama do. If you don't, she do. Now, moving ahead, here comes George Bush. At this point, America is pretty much bought and sold and paid for when you get to George Bush Jr. It's just too late for it. This is a man who could not, for the life of him, put together 10 words in a row that made sense. I shit you not. I shit you not. He didn't even want to be president. Man, George Bush Jr. was a party boy. He was a puppet, undisciplined. He went AWOL and shit. He he was given millions of dollars in fucking training to fly jets in Vietnam, and then he decided, you know what? Are they shooting people down over there? Because I hear they're shooting people down in the jets with them still on them. I think I'm going to be passing on that. You know who my daddy is, right? Yeah. I think I'll be passing on that. We're not going, no. You tell them that I'm still drinking and I'm still doing cocaine. And I still like that girl over there too. And that one. That's what you tell them. I'm out of here. And out the fuck he was gone. And no one prosecuted him. Later, he would become president. Later, he will become president. More foolishness. What does he do? Huh? He crank up a war based upon absolutely nothing. Weapons of mass destruction that they never found. Now, normally, even the police, come on, man, when they kick your door in and they done thoroughly search your home and they not finding what they looking for, them bastards might not say, hey, man, we sorry, but they gonna leave it as they found it. Ain't nothing they can make out of it because they ain't find a damn thing. They ain't gonna fix your door. They're not gonna be fixing your door. Okay? You can call them all you want to. If it was a mistake or just it was bad intelligence. What you want us to do? Damn, nigga. I mean, you all that mad? I told you it was a mistake. We out of here. But look what America did. They found no weapon of mass destruction, acknowledged that they would never be found because they never existed, and then they didn't go home. They stayed there 20 years. So imagine the police kicking your door in not finding what they're looking for, and then say, hey, man, this is a nice-ass house. Say, boys, I think we're going to be moving in here. We're going to hang out here a minute. Shit, we can make this the new base. Do we just have to have the substation downtown? Shit, what are you going to do about it? Ask us to leave? I mean, we ain't really bothering nobody. I mean, well, not yet. But anyway, before we get there, I mean, you see the ridiculous nature of it, don't you? So what were they doing there 20 years? Killing people. More foolishness over their resources. But remember where we started. This is a nation birthed at its core from convicts, psychological mad hatters, psych ward patients, and convicts. We just gonna keep it real. We just gonna keep it real. It would be the later later influx of Europeans, Western Europeans, that would save them. They were crackers in Britain, and they were crackers here. The word cracker was what they were called in Europe. They called the underclass crackers. Y'all thought that it was niggers, Negroes who started calling you cracker like we made it up? No, they were crackers there. Shit. The ownership class and the property class, the aristocratic class, the banking class, the I own some shit class, the I got a job shit class had nothing to do with them. They were peasants, unwanted, a drain on society, sort of like they view some of you right now within their foolishness. I just say that because they have been the same thing, more foolishness. Moving right along, past George Bush. Now, where we at? I get lost in the sauce. Are we at Obama yet? See, this is where shit started to get dicey. Right about here. Who was Obama? Anybody know? Do anybody really want to know? Because real people and knowing people actually know, but they don't tell you because you're not ready for the truth. But one of these days, I'm not going to give a damn if you're ready for the truth or not. What I'm saying is, he's not what he put himself out there to be. Neither is Michelle. Neither is those two wonderful little girls who finally found some sense and got the fuck away from them. They crazy. Use them girls as a prop. Them ain't they kids. That was a prop. That should let you know that how crazy they were. They right back with their parents. They were props for your entertainment. It all was a lie. Starting with white women having black babies. Huh. Well, okay then. So with that shit being said, not only did the man have no background as far as being black in America, he was raised by a white family, has nothing to do with the black side of his family, sort of like who? Kamala. Kamala's father don't like her ass. I don't know why. It's family business and it's none of my business. No comment. I'm just saying though, same scenario, but we stuck on Obama right about now. What did he do? What was Obama's first act to regain his manhood after letting a member of the House call him a liar to his face? And then, I think during the night of his inauguration, what did this man do? How would he respond? Well, I know how I'm going to respond. You do that kind of shit to me at in such a formal event. I'm already walking towards you, take, taking my jacket off and rolling up my sleeves. Y'all might as well call off this event. We're gonna, set the tone right now as president. We're gonna set the tone right now because I'm finna beat his ass. He didn't call me a liar, in front of everybody, like I'm nothing, like I'm just a slave boy. I'm not the president now, so you can call me a liar. Yeah, well, we finna find out, because I'm finna test your boxing game. I'm finna test your boxing game. But anyway, that's me. So what was his first act? Anybody remember? He went and started killing the Somalians with the Navy, who were upset that they could no longer fish off their own shore. See, this is the part they don't tell you. They want to tell you about the Somali pirates. But where did they come from? They all of a sudden woke up one freaking morning and say, hey, I'm thinking about piracy. Don't we have an old rickety boat somewhere? See all them big ships out there? They weigh millions of tons with all kinds of goods on it. We should go rob them. Did you think that that's what happened? No, that's not what happened. That's how the rest of the world are not thieves and liars like Western culture is. No, when they do it, there's usually an impetus, a motivation. And this one would be the rest of the Western culture have been using the Somalian coastline as a dumping ground for all of their nuclear waste, radioactive waste, because that shit does not degrade. It does not die. It does not break down. It stays like it is forever. And so it can't even be contained. It's nuclear waste. And so they dumped it off the coast of Somalia, ruining their the very food source that they depended on for their very survival, seafood. That's how the piracy got started. More foolishness. But they don't tell you that, do they? They don't tell you that. They only want you to see them as being a victim. More foolishness. More foolishness. And everything, well, we're going to keep it in the same damn pattern. Let's get past Obama, because I can get, I can't say nothing that I'm not going to find upsetting or you find upsetting about the man. So let's move forward. I'm not here to asperse him or Michael. Damn it, Michelle. Strike that last word. Are the mics on? Shit. Ruined. I'm ruined already. But moving along. Okay? So what comes next? Joe Biden, an 80-year-old man that's known nothing his entire life except racism and politics. That's all the man knows. Racism and politics. He's an expert in racism and politics. What did Joe do? Brought you a crime bill. Because of crack. He brought you a crime bill because their crack created by their hands used as a chemical fucking attack against the Negro. He now blames you for using the crack that he invented and dropped it off in the hood. Yeah, he gets upset. Look at those damn fools, and they're all drug addicts down there. We got to do something about the crime problem. It's just too many of them hooked on crack. Nigga, it's your crack. You got millions of dollars of them to fund a whole nother war. that's that's where all y'all crack money was going, to fund a war via Latin America. They didn't go to jail either. They crashed the whole fucking airplane that just blew the case wide open. It was an airplane filled with cocaine and guns, driven by the CIA or some kind of agents and operatives that were American, and they walked their ass around, and 5 years later, they were on Fox News, and there wasn't a police in sight. These people just brought you a scourge that would last 20 years, destroying families and communities, and they walk around free to this day. They are becoming old men. More foolishness. The message is clear. The message is quite clear. So Mr. Biden brings you a fucking crime bill with Hillary Clinton in the background, calling you savages because you are the fallout or the manifestation of the symptom of the addictions that they themselves caused. Now they turn around and make millions of dollars off of locking your ass up. Millions of dollars, both the states and the cities. Every time that clock strikes 12, they get 200 to 300, in some cities 400 every day per head count. Per head, I want you to understand. Every time that clock strikes fucking midnight, ching ching, ching ching, money comes. More foolishness. More foolishness. So where's all this foolishness leading? Into Miss Harris. You knew I was coming. You knew I was coming. Now, we gonna go gentle. I was gentle last night, and I'm in a gentle nature as regards to her tonight. She's not like an enemy. It ain't like that. But this is politics, and we ain't playing. You are a detriment to the black population. You said so out of your own mouth. Okay? You've already said that you're never going to do anything specifically for black people while doing things specifically for other groups based on race. This is the reality. This is the reality. And because there is a segment of the black population, also known as a Negro, also known as a Hebrew Israelite, who just not down with folks who ain't gonna do shit for them when they do shit for everyone else. More foolishness. But look where the foolishness started. Don't you see the constant thread of criminality, social upheaval, the lack of a value system, how anything goes from the very beginning, from the very start. They've done whatever they wanted to do, so it has to be like a freaking anathema to what's going on now that something stands in their way. But anyway, I'm being gentle with her, largely because she is sort of just in the way. She's in the way, okay? Now that's as gentle as I'm gonna be. She's in the way. But if we're gonna be honest, let's be honest about the situation. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's see everything as it is. Now, some of you folks have already started showing your horns. Why are you angry to the point of acting out on your anger? If the truth upsets you, then I am so sorry. But I don't know nothing else. I don't know no lies. I don't know no lies of, action, or I don't know no lies of omission. I know no lie. And silence is not an option. Silence is not an option. So as your horns grow, And you start to do little petty things like, you know what you do, because if I say this here, you're gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. Grow up and stop it. Are you upset because I have aspersed your religion? Maybe. Or your God? Maybe. Or your favorite candidate? Maybe. Or your culture? Maybe. See, we don't even know why you're really acting out. This is America. You need to calm down and don't let your anger become actionable. Because once your anger becomes actionable, then you make yourself dangerous, and then dangerous becomes a damn threat. Now I have to look at you in a whole different way. And we don't want that. You don't want that, and I don't want that. So don't get upset about words. Don't let your anger become actionable when it's the truth. So here I said all of that to kind of prepare him for what I am about to say now. Okay? Let's go to the Negro. The Negro needs to understand the social dynamic of where he lives, where she lives, and their place in it. Who loves who hates who, by culture and by history and heritage of all parties. Of all parties. We would be doing him a grave disservice, and we would be derelict in our duty if we did not give him such information. And we won't be neither one. We won't be neither one. So let's look at the Harris family dynamic. Okay? Now, I'm finna make some people bad, but I don't mean to. I really don't. But I ain't gonna, God says that my people suffer for the lack of knowledge. Well, we finna give these people some knowledge. So, and this is almost personal, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it for the sake of my people. Listen, people who have a culture of hating you are never going to help you do anything. Okay? And let me repeat this. People who have a culture and a history of hating you and harming you are not going to do anything for you. Neither are their offspring or their progeny or their children. Ever. Ever. Each generation will only justify their own actions vis-a-vis you, meaning that they will explain to their family members and their young people as to why things are so fucked up and why they engage in such fucked up behavior. And they will start to justify it in the minds of their children. That's the reality. With that being said, so on the one side of this equation, that would be the Harris marriage, we have a Jewish guy who comes from a culture who has stolen someone else's name, land, financed a slave trade, had slaves, and is currently engaged in genocide in what is known as Palestine. That's on the one side. That's the one side, whether you like it or not. You think the Jewish people like the Negro? No, the Jewish people like the African American. He can't stand the Negro, and he most definitely cannot stand a Negro named Jesus. I am illegal all over Israel. I am illegal. Ain't that some shit? My name is illegal in Israel. Ain't that some shit? So I know, nigga, if they hate my black ass, I know they hate you. And the mother Jesus freaks. They hate them too. Y'all ain't got no friends there. None. But at any rate, on the one side we have Miss Harris' husband, who is of Jewish heritage and influence, and by birth. Now, I'm not going to go no further than that. Only, we're, we're going to keep this superficial. But I feel like if you're going to be angry, if your enemy is going to be angry, then go ahead and get everything out that's going to anger them at the same time. Then they can hurry up and reflect and they can heal from what has so obviously pissed them off to the point of taking action like an emotional woman. Okay? Like a child. So on the other half of this is Miss Harris herself, which comes from a culture that at the very least racial caste is maintained. For those of you who don't know what racial caste is, that means the darker you are, the more melanin in your skin, the more fucked you are if you live in India. That's what that means. But that's none of our business. That's Indian business. Think of it as Indian affairs. We have no dog in that fight. That's what they all agreed to. They all believe in it. Not a problem for us. But this is what we got going. So what is going to come out of this union that's going to help black people? What? Now, what has already came out of this union? His people that's currently at war have gotten billions of dollars in money and contracts and weapons. Her people, the same thing, minus the weapons. This is a fact by the political records, accounting of what's just been given out in terms of benefits and opportunity that you say not based on race. But it's sadly that it's not based on race, but it never includes your black ass. You know what black means, right? You know what black means. Black means stateless, nationless, pointless. I'm talking about man definition, legal definition. It means absolutely you have no rights at all. Look the shit up. Look it up. More foolishness. So within this foolishness, they think that they're not gonna do the right thing. Or do they? Or do they? At any rate, they understand that they're gonna do the right thing. From here on out, politically, things are gonna get tough on them. Again, when you seek to hurt us, then we have no choice but to respond. It is you who keep creating the environment. And once again, as I wrap this up, the United States is at war with the Palestinians who have no navy, no air force, no fucking military, and they're using the Israeli people and the Israeli military to fight this war. It is a war through proxy. See, I said a long time ago, Israel was an American proxy state. That's what it is. It's one big military base that make babies. Okay? It's an American proxy state. They just won't say it out loud. That need all the help it can get all the time. More foolishness. But out of this foolishness comes some good. I won't even speak of it now, but they can already feel it. They can feel the end of the situation and how it's gonna end. Some shit you simply can't kill your way out of. Some shit you can't kill your way out of. To think that you can do that would be foolish. You have create anyway. I'm dealing with crazy people. When you're dealing with crazy people who are already is full of hate and fear, but they know that they can beat up on those who don't have guns, those who ain't made up of the same essence that they're made up, who who they can rape and bomb and kill and stab and genocide upon without repercussion. You won't find any of that shit here. None of that. There will be repercussion. You won't find none of that here. So as we ponder our way through what we're gonna do with anyway, I gotta be quiet. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. So sorry it started so late and I have kept you up so late, but however, I have kept it clean. Have I not? I have kept it clean. I am source. We are seven. We are one.